What the internet has done, whether it's in terms of connecting people, connecting businesses, joining up the economy, the cumulative effect of that has been immense in economic, in emotional, in every possible term you can imagine. And I think even Tim Berners-Lee probably wouldn't have thought that we would have come quite as far as we have in the time that we have, because that ambition that he had was immense, but the global impact has been staggering. Well, I think the internet is becoming more and more like a utility. There's sort of, it wasn't that long ago where we thought that a video conference was sort of somehow glamorous and novel. Over the last few months, it's become routine to the point of unexciting, I think, for a lot of people. The internet is going to get baked in to every single aspect of every single individual's daily lives. And that trend has accelerated over recent months. So I think what we're going to see is that this last 25 years has, in some senses, only been the starter of an enormous many. I used to be a journalist, and in the distant past, I interviewed Vince Cerf, one of the godfathers of the internet, and he used to tell a story about how he was a great wine buff, and every single wine cork should have a connection to the internet so that it could tell you exactly when that bottle was perfect for drinking. And that seemed absolutely extraordinary sort of 10 years ago. I think now the Internet of Things is not that far away from routine connections for very mundane objects. And I think over those coming 25 years, what you will see is the expectation that every single object, however mundane it is, however unexciting it is connected to the internet, so that Internet of Things just becomes part of everyday life. I think the reality of that prediction is that it won't take 25 years to come to fruition. So I'll give you that as one small example, but I think anyone who thinks they know what the world or the internet looks like in 25 years probably is not wholly in control of their own faculties. Well, that's what we want to do. We're going to get as close as we possibly can by taking away every single barrier that government can control, by trying to create as propitious an investment environment as we possibly can, by trying to make sure that we get absolutely as far as we possibly can. And look, the manifesto commitment that you allude to, that itself talks about how challenging this is. But I make no apologies for being immensely ambitious on this. I think we can make really huge inroads, not just via the £5 billion and more of the government's own money that will be invested into this project, but of course through the vast amount of commercial investment that's going in. So 2025 is a long way. I am absolutely determined that we make as much progress as we possibly can. But as I say, it is prudent, I think, to be honest about the scale of this ambition. But the reason we've got that ambition is because the scale of the benefit of having really good connectivity is obvious to every individual and to every business. And that's why it's really important that the government does its utmost to get. So I'm really conscious that there are lots of levers that government can pull to try and deliver our shared ambition of get that best possible connectivity. Now that might be, for instance, making sure that the public sector bends over backwards to give access to land or buildings for network deployment. I think we can do a lot better on that. I'm really conscious that spectrum clearance is really important. I'm really conscious that making sure that we build a regime for our own £5 billion investment that minimises overbuild in the broader rollout is hugely important. There are lots and lots of ways that we need to work together. And in a sense, the single most important is the coordination of all those different aspects. So whether it's barrier busting, whether it's legislation, whether it is creating that commercial environment, it's about getting the overall ecosystem to be working as well as it possibly can. So I think what we need to see over the rest of this Parliament and beyond is a relationship that builds on that maturity, that sees that regulators around the world and in this country in particular have understood that good regulation fosters the best possible kind of rollout, both in terms of its geographic extent, the prices that consumers end up paying in every single aspect. So I think that mature relationship is really important. But we also need to bear in mind that one of the things that that has to be a really good outcome of the programme that we're running at the moment is to see effective competition. And that's what regulation is very important in fostering. I think if you look at some of the pressure in Parliament, it's not just around people saying that their constituents want to pay a reasonable price and for a reasonable service. It's also about saying that people realise that competition drives the market forward and it drives that best possible service. So there's real, I think, regulatory incentive to get the speed and the extent and the landscape of the competitive environment right. And as I say, dovetailing those aspects together is crucially important, and it will only happen because we have a mature relationship between the sector and the regulators. Well, I think the industry is more important now than ever. We've seen over the last few months just how important connectivity is to everybody's lives. And it's really helpful, it's really valuable when the industry is able to come together to present a united position, to present that consensus, because that's what allows government regulators to work as quickly as possible to get those outcomes delivered as quickly as possible. And we wouldn't be where we are today without organisations like ISPA. So we're hugely grateful, and I think we look forward across the government to building on that really positive relationship for the next 25 years as well.